Welcome to the Jira Life, the place to find news, events, and interviews with the Atlassian Community's movers and shakers. Join our hosts, Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira guy Nissen, as well as the Jira amigos in the Peanut Gallery, as we sit down and discuss the latest going on in the Atlassian ecosystem. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life, the Jira Life chose us.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So yes, Jira Life, or is it the Trello Life today?
The Trello takeover.
It might be the Trello Life.
I think today it is. Anytime Brittany's on the show, I think we just assume it's the Trello Life.
We're just rebranding.
Speaking of Brittany, she will be joining us shortly. She had a last-minute call from her boss, and priorities. So she'll be back on in a moment. But in the meantime, we have Mike. Mike, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello. I'm Mike. Mike Day, also known as Dream Suite Mike in the Atlassian community. A Trello consultant and a Trello user for as long as it's existed. And I've been spending the last 2 or 3 years building custom solutions for companies solely in Trello. If there's anyone more passionate or as passionate as Brittany about Trello, it's probably me.
That's what I've heard. I think this is actually our first time getting to meet Mike. So
yes.
Me and Brittany had fun during Quiz Whiz about Trello versus Jira Work Management. But even as a Jira guy, I have used Trello a good bit for various workflows, various things. It's a tool I love. And apparently it's undergoing some changes.
Yes. So it's undergoing some changes. Some that are less popular, but one that is a good bit of news and something that is quite exciting, even though it's just an aesthetic thing. It's still something when you bring a bit of colour to a tool, it's always a pleasant surprise. So, the changes that are coming to free, I hope, will be what's needed to keep Trello going for many years to come.
So why don't we talk about some of these changes? This was announced about 10 days ago, week before last, on the Atlassian community. And let's walk through some of the changes. So first thing we have, and the big thing that I know people are up in arms about, is there is a change to the number of collaborators you could have on the free plan.
Yes.
I don't know what it was before because I wasn't really using this feature myself, Mike. So why don't you explain this a little bit?
Yeah, so I mean, like you, this wasn't really relevant to me because I have always used a paid plan, and with pretty much all my clients, I ask them to use a paid plan as well because it brings the additional features that really bring Trello to life, like the unlimited automations in Premium and custom fields and different views. So it was a bit of a surprise to me that it's kind of blown up a bit in the community for people using Trello free workspaces, which until this change comes in has been, in terms of number of collaborators or users, unlimited. So the only limit in Trello free has been board limits. So it's been pretty much one of the most generous free offerings out there comparing to other solutions. And they're just bringing it down to 10 collaborators, which is in line with the rest of the Atlassian product line.
So, go ahead.
First of all, welcome, Mr. Funman Andy. Good morning, good night,
Hey.
good evening, wherever you're at.
I don't think he's the fun man today.
It's still FMA, but it's a different flavor of FMA today. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's the fuming Funman Andy today.
Fuming Funman Andy.
And for the other Andy, we're slowly trying to become a table. Now we have at least a table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brittany's coming. She told us 8 minutes ago, or I guess what would it be? 12 minutes ago that she was only going to be out for 8 minutes. She's good. She's good.
I had a meltdown. It's 10 p.m. here in Europe, and I just like an idiot just kept clicking the SteamYard link that you'd sent me in the invite, expecting to just automatically join. I was like, at one point, I'm like, wait, hold on a minute. It only says SteamYard.com. There's no restaurant. But
at least I'm not the only one who clicked on that first.
Right. So yeah. Actually, it's quite funny. I'm going to be really honest with all of you. The fuming man Andy part and like the whole like, my God, why is everything so expensive? And F Atlassian and this and that, da da da. It's just the marketing to get people to come to this call. In reality,
Yeah.
I have a Trello account that's just mine, just me. I use it so intently with due dates and custom this and automated butler that and blah blah blah. It's actually a paid business standard just for me because I use Trello so intently. So it's like, I think as I joined, Mike was going over the announcements and the blogs and the stuff like that. And if I'm really honest, I think one of my big opening statements is that if you've been using Trello for years and you've never paid for it and you're trying to run your company and you've got 20 people and you've got multiple boards or multiple workspaces, etc., in reality, if you're now very shocked with this new, it is a shock. It is a shock. The pricing is a huge shock. However, my point is, if you haven't been paying for Trello before, you've really been doing something seriously wrong with your entire business and you're not efficient, you're not effective. And basically, it's like, this is a good wake-up call. Maybe you should pay for Trello because the reason I have business standard for my individual account is that for about 9 years, I was paying for Trello Gold. I was paying for Trello Gold before Atlassian bought them out. Yeah, right, exactly. So it's kind of like for me, it's guys, wake up. Like, you've not been using Trello correctly. And if you're super shocked by this sudden price change, I've got news for you. You should have unlimited boards. You should have automation. You should have custom labels. You should have next level stuff, because if you don't, your company's not efficient and not effective. And it was really funny. Fun story about the Fun Inc. and my own company. So my PA is looking at, like, with the new setup of a totally new company that we'll be announcing. My PA came suddenly into the Trello boards and had this whole like, oh my God, Trello's now going to be really expensive and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I read it at 10 p.m. at night before I went to bed, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how much is this going to cost? And actually, we started the next day with a clear head and a good night's sleep. I just went through how much would it cost our company. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on a minute. My PA only looked at we're so many people now times so much it's going to cost on business standard. And she looked at the wrong column. She looked at pro first. And she just thought to herself, oh, no, we're going to be paying money like really soon, April 8th. And I went calmly into Trello card and I was like, we're under 10 people, but we're still going to be paying for business standard. And at some point within 6 months, we'll be on business pro. So actually, that announcement, it was a bit of a shock for some people. And I just looked at it and went, I want all, like, I went through on my own personal account. I go through about 250 automations in 2 days or something crazy. So if you look at Trello free, under 10 users, and Brittany, I learned all my automations from Brittany and her YouTube channel, right? The stuff I do nowadays, Brittany would be like, I'm proud of my young Padawan. So proud. Every time I make an automation, Brittany's voice is in my head going, right, now what you want to do is you put like
oh my gosh, I love to hear that.
Yeah, seriously, B. It's like you're there coaching me in my head. But okay, great. We've got the standard and the premium, the enterprise stuff up on the screen, right? So if you look at the difference between free and standard, if you're someone like me who loves automation, loves to be efficient and effective, uses Bees, How I Trello, Substack, and YouTube to learn more and enhance your skills and stuff, bugs people like Mike on online community with like, I've made a mess of my priorities. What should I do differently? And Mike comes with a whole, like, I think Mike, like 3-4 months ago, you came with like 6 different proposals how to do my priorities, right? Or something. Do you remember that one? You were like,
Yeah,
you could do it like this, or you
It's
could do it like
you
that.
turned a little screw and then just let me go.
Right.
No.
And I
Well,
remember responding on online community going, which one should I do? And like I went away and I puzzled over it, and I promise you an answer. I do have an answer. It was a good one. But now with the new company setup, I need to wait for that board to be moved and stuff. But if you look at the difference between free and standard, with standard you get 250. So yeah, if you scroll down, if you look at your automations, okay, so 250 workspace command runs per month. For me, those command runs, there's more than one type. Just automation alone, in 2 days, I went through 250 automations, which counts towards workspace command. So I was like, okay, which one do I pay for? And so I said standard, sorry, I was incorrect. I pay for Business Pro because I just want unlimited automations, just for automations alone. And that's not the whole spectrum of workspace command. So if someone says to me like, we're a company of 30 people and we've been running Trello free for 10 years now. And I'm like, how? You're not using Trello properly. I'm sorry. I'm really judgmental, like to help people in a positive way, positive criticism. So
You could just use Jira. Just throwing
or
it
you could, or you could use Excel.
Exactly. Yeah, you could use a Google Doc. You know what? You could use paper and sticky notes too.
Yeah.
I know.
A whiteboard.
Yeah.
You could use whatever you want. I mean,
know,
if you want to make your life hard on yourself, it's fine.
I know famous Jira podcast people that start their projects with Excel and then they go to Jira later. You could, like, you know.
Old habits die hard, Andy.
I will. Do you know what? You guys are lucky. I don't have time to make you Excel fan T-shirts for team. You're so lucky. Like, really, I'm not joking. Like,
that sounds more like just a project for Team 25 then.
I will have you know that we eat our dog food 100% now, Andy. It is Atlassian and Jira and Confluence or bust.
I'm going to give you a massive respect because Robert sent us the overview and the agenda and stuff like that. And I noticed it was using one of my easily top 2, top 3 favorite marketplace apps, External Share. And I was like, oh, you guys are really using, like, the moment you start sharing Confluence with External Share or External Share for Jira, I'm like, now you're working, now you're rolling. So respect to you guys for that. Good use of best practices and stuff. So
yeah, sorry, we learned. We found the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
It was just like a week, Andy. You made it look like we were like on Excel for like forever.
In 10 years' time, people would be like, they're still using Excel? And I would just lie and go, yeah.
Shamelessly, I still use Excel for my main channel.
It's all good. I mean, this is why, like, I think it, like, pretty much, like, I'm not to brown nose too hard or anything, but it's like, it's B who really made me think, like, why have I got Post-its on the wall? Why am I writing shit on paper? Why is my life physical? Like, Trello is, I use Trello professionally with companies in teams of 20, 40, 50. I've been in a company on enterprise level where an entire organization, 2,000 people was on Trello. And years and years ago, it was like, you know, interacting with B and online community. And then she starts up her YouTube channel. I'm like, my life could live in Trello. And it does. Like, I have no paper around me right now. I have Trello on my phone, I have Trello on my laptop, and I have 9 different Atlassian IDs right now that I'm currently with the consultancy business.
And that's why we can't get a hold of
need one more just for an even 10 right there.
The OCD in me is like, oh, actually, to be honest with you, it's 8. So it's not 9. Well, I did close one the other week, actually, yeah. But I like that thinking of yeah, so Fun Man's always for hire. If there's 2 companies who want some Fun Man consulting, I'd like to increase my Google Suite Google, you know, Chrome limit up to 10.
Removing ones to add others is a pain. So
yeah. But that's my massive monologue and my opening statement. Like, sure, increases in prices and stuff like that. It's a shock to the system, but be efficient and think about your tool usage.
Yeah, Britt and I got like a little bit of advance notice of this change, and both of us kind of downplayed it a bit because we're so used to advising people to get the most out of Trello by paying, because the automation, unlimited automations in premium, custom fields in particular, and then some of the additional views and workspace features, that's worth it alone. So we kind of didn't expect it to blow up quite as much as it has, but it's also raised a few other things in the sense that no one really gets Trello's billing model. Like people don't know what a single board guest is, what a multi-board guest is, what a workspace member is, and now they've thrown into the mix this term collaborator. And there's people in Free saying, well, there's people that are observers. Are they collaborators? Are they guests? So like it's actually part of the problem is like now we've got over the point of people being shocked by the change and saying, well, this is going to be unworkable for me. I'm going to go off and use Microsoft Planner or something else. It's now like, how does this actually work? So we're really trying to dumb this down and say, look, like just in Free, everyone's a collaborator. So it's just as simple as that. And the easiest way to find out is, if I should quickly show it, is
show us your graphic, Mike.
Show it to us.
I also I want to make sure, I saw there was a question from Jessica in the chat that I want to make sure we do address at some point. Carry on with your point, Mike, because I think it kind of relates to this as well.
Yeah.
And I just want to tie in, Jessica, I think this is going to help with your question here.
So yeah, the collaborators, like, there's no point in trying to guess what it is, what it means. Just go to the members section in your workspace and take for gospel that 24 collaborators in this workspace is fact. So Trello aren't going to change that. They've counted it themselves, and you can see that it's 16 guests plus 8 members. So that could be single board guests or multi-board guests. So this idea that it could be one or the other, and it doesn't make sense. That is anyone's a guest or a workspace member, they're a collaborator. The only caveat is if someone's been given the opportunity to join and they haven't accepted, they don't count. So that's why that one down there is not counted to the number. But just look at this number, and if you're over 10, you're gonna have to pay. Simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, to the question, everybody's confused about the different roles and things like that, and like optimizing for prices and stuff. The biggest thing, forget about, workspace members and boards. If you can just have people in one board, you won't be charged for them. Don't add them as workspace members, just add them directly to that board, and they will not count as a workspace member. They will be counted as a single board guest, which means you do not pay for them in that workspace. As soon as you add them to another board, you pay for them. As soon as you go to your workspace settings and add them there, you pay for them. But you could be, I have in my workspace, it's me and my partner, and the two of us are the official workspace members. And then I collaborate with, I don't even know. I could literally see, to Mike's point, how many people I collaborate with, but I'm not paying for all of those people. I'm paying for just me and my partner, who are official workspace members. And typically, if someone's going to be on multiple boards, I'm just going to add them as a workspace member anyways, because I'm going to pay for them and it keeps it clean. But we'll talk more about that. But like that is going to be the number one way to cope with this change, is as much as possible, organize your boards and keep folks in one board instead of, a bunch of different boards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think some of the people that we see coming up on the Atlassian community now saying they've got like 40 or 50 people in their free workspace and panicking about what's going to happen. Like, if you've got 40 or 50 people that aren't single board guests and that are collaborating across various boards, like, it doesn't matter what sort of the tool is, you should be paying for it. It's as simple as that. And if it's a case where you've got a business and you need to have some sort of external collaboration, you should be able to structure that so that's funneled to one board that those guests are on. And the other thing about single board guests that I think people aren't quite grasping is that they're now thinking like they have to have one board with everyone on it. But actually, you can have multiple boards, but as long as those people are only on one board in the workspace, then they're fine. And it's working for them. I think most people can afford $5 a month, which is the sort of minimum amount that you're going to spend.
And I think people also need to be careful. Don't try and reinvent the wheel or come up with some solution for a problem that's not there. Don't start creating multiple workspaces to get multiple.
Yes.
Like keep it simple. Think about your needs. I just put in the chat a great example of a free workspace I run from my community account that I will never pay for. But sometimes we do cool stuff like we will collaborate on a virtual ACE, a virtual event. And we want to share that with everybody. And then that one is just like there's 2 people on there. Sorry, there's 3, including myself. it's public. Anyone can access it. They don't even need to be a guest. They don't even need to be a member. So it's still easy to collaborate with people if it's about information sharing. And
you don't even have to have a Trello account. It's effectively a publicly hosted web page. Yeah,
it's just a public web page, right? Exactly, 100%. Thanks for that addition to make it clear. So the thing that was making me worried was like, oh, hold on a minute. If we do something later in October again in the Netherlands with Enterprise DAM, we used a Trello workspace that was really, everything was all on there. We were controlling the day-to-day tasks and information sharing and gathering information from vendors and sponsors and stuff like that. And my initial raw reaction was, oh my God, if I have 80 people in there, how much is that going to cost me? And then I went through Mike's internal Slack on our community leader Slack when we were like discussing it back and forth. And I went, oh, they're all the board guests. I won't actually pay for them. I can still run that project efficiently, effectively. It won't be a problem. So I think, again, like with me, when I woke up the next morning with a clear head, I was like, hold on a minute, I want to pay for that stuff anyway. It's not going to be a problem.
What's the limit of the guest over the collaborator?
That's a good question, actually. Might be.
What's the question there?
I don't think there's a limit on board guests, right?
No. The limits, like their capabilities.
Oh, the limits.
Yeah, like what can a collaborator do that a guest can't?
So a collaborator just seems to be a new term that they've decided to coin anyone who is in the workspace, essentially. So I think you don't like the collaborator is just so they can give account. So it only really matters in the free version, and once you hit 10, you have to pay for something. So I think it's probably best just to ignore the term collaborator. And then
but you only got 10 of them.
Yes, so that's the only context where it's relevant is when you're counting how many people in your workspace for free. If you're going to standard or premium, it doesn't matter anyway. As you can see in this example, like there's 28 collaborators. It's obviously in premium or standard, that's not going to matter too much.
But Rodney, go back up to that line up there.
This is where I wanted to bring this up, because as Mike was going through it, I went through my Trello workspace. I only have one board that has a lot of single board guests. This was something I had shared publicly after Team 23 with the list of swag, my Team 23 board, or my swag board for Team 23. And it's saying, even though 25 of those are single board guests, I'm still over the collaborator limit.
Because you're not, okay, so I can take this one. So my workspace, I could show you mine. I look very similar, and I pay, I think it's like it's probably $20 a month because it's premium, but I don't necessarily need premium. Standard is usually fine. So the situation here, you're in a free workspace. You have more than 10 collaborators. This does not mean that for all 28 people, you need to pay 28 times by 5. You could do what I do, where the workspace members is 1, upgrade yourself. And so Rodney Nissen's workspace becomes $5 a month standard premium workspace. And then nothing changes. You don't have to, you're still going to have all of those 28 collaborators and be totally fine, but you will pay $5 a month. Does that make sense? Because the limit is you can only have 10 unless you're premium. And since you're not premium, that's why this limit's going to affect you.
So,
but as soon as you become premium with one account, yours, you're good.
Yeah, so as long as the owner is premium, the collaborators could be whatever the number needs
exactly. To be. That's why, yes, I was going to screen share mine. I have 42 collaborators in my workspace, and it's not going to cost, I don't pay for all 42 of them. I pay for me and my partner.
But now you got to pay him before you didn't have to.
So
I was already paying. What do you mean?
But Rodney here on this one is not paying.
Rodney, yes. Rodney will now have to pay $5 a month to be able to keep those boards editable.
This actually brings me to a point that you, Brittany, and Mike were talking about before the call that I really want to bring up. I should be paying for this.
Yes.
If I expect this service to continue being a thing long term, I either have to financially back it or fully expect Atlassian to start selling my data, because those are the only two options for sustainable services.
You think Atlassian's not selling your data already?
Yeah, and I mean, bias and personal opinion, like it's not a huge amount to pay. So for your example, you've got 2 multi-board guests and a 1 workspace member, so that's like $15 a month to go for Trello standards, and that to me doesn't seem like a great deal of money.
So no, actually this had I'm making some bank changes on the back end, and I forgot to update my payment, so that's why it's on free now. But because it was on and this happens to come up, I'm like, let's discuss this in detail with an actual example.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, Trello, generally speaking, amongst its user base, and it's got a substantial amount, people love it. So if you love it, you should pay a little bit to make sure it lasts as long as possible. And if this is what it takes to kind of keep them maintaining and allowing Trello to be used for many years to come, then I think it's a fairly small price to pay. And they haven't actually, for the other subscription levels, those prices haven't changed for a long time, which is something that I was kind of looking into comparing to other tools out there where the prices have increased over the years.
I don't know, maybe it's just the way the trends are going, but Atlassian's been doing this in all aspects of their tool suite, right? Like automation rules is my biggest pain point, where you didn't have to pay for it, and all of a sudden you got to pay for it.
It's like I remember years ago, Confluence Cloud, there used to be so much free, and then I noticed that the moment I think it was 6 years ago or something, the moment you hit 2 gigabytes in files, you have to have standard to get the next 250 gigabytes. And nowadays there's so much more on Confluence. Like you can't archive without having standard page. You can't do locked pages and just share with certain individuals, etc.
You can't externally share without getting an external share.
It's super weird. It's like companies need money to make software or something. It's
funny.
But then why start it free then?
Because it's a marketing thing to start it free, because you need to validate an idea. Because why am I going to pay $20 for something if I don't know it's good? And then once you validate the idea, I mean, it's very hard. And a lot of people would say, don't start something for free because it's difficult to roll it back. But at the same time, like, you know what Jira or Trello, let's just stick with Trello. I know what Trello is. And like, right now, I'm willing to pay for it. When I first started out, it's the same thing with the trial, right? Like, I'm not going to be willing to pay for it without
trying. Because now you're taking an identity away from me. A trial, I'm entering this commitment knowing you're going to yank it from me. Now I feel robbed.
And that's like,
and I don't even use Trello.
That's why people need to be really wise about what they're doing, because we've lived off of subscription models for 15 years, and often, like Andy said in the chat, like gateway drugs and stuff. Before you start that trial, you should already be investigating, if I like this and it goes well, what are my costs from month 2 or whatever onwards? Like, I've never done any, like, not just even Atlassian systems. The most recent one I've started paying for is Duolingo. So before I started even using Duolingo last year properly, I was like, how much does this cost a month? Oh, okay. Because I know what it's like. Like, once I trial something, if I really love it, it's going to stick.
I'm going to want to pay for it. Yeah.
Exactly. So you should also, not to call anyone a dummy or be condescending. Like, are you going to trial something? What are you trialing? Is it a proof of concept? What's your end goal? I don't think you should ever start a free trial with the intent of, I will have this for free forever. No, that's not how the world works. And anytime a company that I've been consulting for is like, is that going to cost us $60,000 a month? That's extortion. And it'd be like, what do our sales team say to our customers? Well, your customers, yeah, this is free for forever because we don't like earning money. So we're going to go to our vendors and ask for freebies as well. No, that's not how the world works. Like, come on, guys, wake up. Like, everybody needs to be like, smell the burritos. We're all paying for stuff. It's all, that's how the money makes the rocking world go round, right? So, and before we go down too much about what our opinions and stuff are, like, Jessica was in the chat coming up with some really important questions and stuff. One of them was, Brittany already handled, like, it's not the number of your collaborators and stuff. It's like the premium versus the free. And then Jessica came with, does changing to admins does cost increase at all? Like, that's another thing people are now going to be looking at. this bizarre difference of what's a collaborator, what's an admin, stuff like that. Because if you have two admins and it's just two people in a workspace with no other collaborators, it's free, right? That's how I interpret their messaging.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're an admin member, whatever. Your role really has nothing to do with the count, is kind of the best way to think about it. It doesn't really matter someone's role. Single board and multi-board guest is not a role. That is a terminology for how many boards you are on. That is confusing. Yeah. So like, yeah, it doesn't matter if they're an admin, member, observer, whatever. The 10 people is all you need to think through there.
Yeah, I think like Mark made an interesting point as well. Like Atlassian is pushing the freemium model. They have done for such a long time. And I think smaller companies, not SMEs, but like really like, you know, startups and stuff have taken great advantage of it. And Atlassian has been patient and waited for them to grow, and then they start paying later. And now Atlassian is just like, you know what? I remember, I can't remember what Jira Service Management, or JSD back in the day. That's how old I am. I can't remember how much JSD used to be on free, but I do remember, you know, a few years back when they're like, JSM is free up to 3 agents. And I'm like, who has 3 agents in a company that has serious service management tickets to deal with? That needs to be at least, you know, in decent sized companies, that could be 15 people. 3 is not going to get you anywhere. So, you know, going back to Alex's point about, you know, I want to trial it and then see how long I can keep it for. Well, that wasn't your exact wording. Sorry, I'm now paraphrasing or even just.
Now you just misquoting me. This is how
now I'm misquote. Sorry, to misquote Alex, he didn't say. But it's like, yeah, like, you know, if you want 3 in a company of 200 people where you've got quite a lot of customers, if you want 3 overworked people, cool. Try and make JSM work for free, but you'll hit the automation block. You'll hit customer organization blocks in JSM. You won't be able to, if you love Trello like I do, and you connect your JSM to your Trello, you can't automate, you can't integrate, you can't, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, I think right now, a lot of people, I can imagine they're shocked because of this announcement. But again, take a good look at your system. If you don't understand what you're seeing and understanding what's Collaborator, what's a public board member? I have multiple board members for free, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, go to online community and ask us veterans and the Uber nerds and the people super passionate about it. Like, see this in my system. What does it mean? Like, what am I going to pay? I really don't understand right now. We'll help. We're there to help. Like, you know, community.atlassian.com. Come ask your questions about Trello, like Jessica is right now. Yeah. And I love this point by Andy. So I don't know if someone wants to pick that up and talk about it.
Brittany, you want to take this
Brittany,
one?
she's pointing.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, Andy, I think this is an excellent point. I was using Trello long before Atlassian had anything to do with it. A lot of us were. And I remember the day the acquisition was announced in the Trello community Slack, not the Atlassian one, the Trello one, we had our own. I remember everybody freaking out. And some people are going to say things have changed in 7 years, but at the same time, think about how much has not changed for an acquisition. Like I'm pleasantly surprised to see that I think in general, for the most part, Atlassian's just been able to give it more resources so it can grow in the ways that it has. And yeah, there's been some changes that it definitely feels like, oh, you're trying to appeal to an enterprise audience that has a lot more money. What about those of us who aren't enterprisey people? Yeah, I'll, credit you that for sure. But again, yeah, the fact that, it's been left on its own, kind of for better or for worse, for this long is huge. That's an eternity in tech company times. And yeah.
How good is the integration between Trello and Jira? Like, is there a 2-way sync or anything?
I mean, admittedly, I don't do much with it, but there is, within automation, there is a lot, there's a specific, you don't have to do anything with APIs. You can literally just use automation actions for looking up Jira issues and posting comments and doing whatnot. I don't know about the Jira side of things, but I assume they also have Trello in there where you can go back and forth too. But then there's also tools like Unito that, I know help you sync multiple tools, whether they're Atlassian owned or not, and make it kind of seamless.
We use Trello for our day-to-day task management in my own company, and we have JSM. JSM is perfect because you can use other more apps are available than just Cybert Media's Mantra or refined for Jira Service Management, right? But we use the service management to collect all of that, but we don't want to work day-to-day tasks in two different systems, so it's synced to Trello. And she's on the call right now in the poddy with us, like Zapier. Like the moment you put Zapier on top of anything, holy crap! And then
Oh yeah,
Brittany, what we were talking about, you literally just mentioned their name. My mind's gone blank.
Unito.
Yeah, right, exactly. With that as well, like there's so, and again, it goes back to like how much are you really willing to spend. But if you work out your return on investments, if you work out how much it's going to cost, the possibilities are endless. Your efficiency, your effectiveness, and now I'm going to introduce a massive elephant in the room: artificial intelligence or Atlassian intelligence. Like currently, the state of AI in the world for me, it's just automation on steroids. You don't actually need any of the AI products that are being pushed and out there, because if you have wicked smart people like Brittany who know what they're doing, they can take the current tool sets and just make the best automation possible across all of your different systems and make your life so much more easier. Then maybe you start using like Assist app in Slack and you start doing this like more cooler AI stuff. But
I was gonna say I use AI sometimes to be like, okay, I know this is the logic of what I need to do, but what is the exact JavaScript syntax that I'm looking for to do that? Like, so yeah, it hasn't replaced the workflow aspect yet, but it can help you with refining like some finer pieces of it.
Yeah. And the what was I going to say about my final point about automation on steroids? Oh, you're right. So like B has a lot on like a lot of educational material on Zapier in particular, and these kind of like the stuff that will help you on not Zapier, sorry, the other one.
Unito.
Unito. Yep, thank you.
Unito, yeah.
Unito, sorry, excuse me, not Zapier. So it's like people are always like, Andy, you know a lot, like not everything, but you know a lot about everything. And I'm like, yeah, because I take the time to investigate, research, hang out with people like Mike and Brittany and Alex and Rodney, and I could sit there and moan and be like, Trello's so expensive. Cool, but what can Trello do for you, and how awesome is it? Alex is laughing his ass off. He must have either I said something funny or he read something funny in the chat.
No. I thought for sure you were going to say Trello sucks, but then you said Trello's so expensive.
I will. Okay, so
you say Trello sucks.
Now you've opened Pandora's box, and I wasn't going to say it when the mention about Atlassian acquiring them. I am looking at Trello, and I'm like, bit by bit, Atlassian is not improving the Trello that I loved before the acquisition. I think that
I would say that for better or worse, they haven't been very involved. I would say that's what I would say. It hasn't made it
see
much
that as a
better.
good thing, though. Like,
exactly.
I compare it to other products out there, like take up Monday.com, that release like a suite of new features every week, and like they're just so desperately trying to battle for new features. Like the fact that Atlassian have left Trello alone gives me so much more scope to do things with it, and I'm hoping that stays. I'm quite happy for them to do things like add colourful lists and little things like that. But I don't want them to change the core of what Trello is, because its flexibility is its big win.
And if they do, I might start murdering people actually, because I don't know if any of you uses Confluence as intensely as I do, but the latest table editor, which did not need adjusting in Confluence, they'd already done a big shift 3 years ago. If they do something like that in Trello, man, I might become a serial murderer and be willing to go to federal jail or incarceration or whatever. Because like if they start messing with Trello on that level, I'll be like, don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at some of the other acquisitions from just the past year, to use one, I am former VMware employee. I haven't worked with them for a number of years yet, but I've been watching what's been happening with Broadcom very closely because it impacts friends and colleagues. And it was the exact opposite approach to what Atlassian has done with Trello, where they immediately went in and started changing things that did not need changing for the worst. So I am very happy. I heard about Trello all of 1 month, literally 1 month to the date before the acquisition was announced. And it was a internal customer asking me, hey, I've been using this tool called Trello. I think it's pretty awesome. Can we integrate it in Jira because I don't want to work in two separate tools?
Yeah, exactly.
So I just wonder whether, relating to the change, whether we should just run through some of the sequence of events that's going to happen, because I think where everyone got the Trello workspace with a big banner saying on the 8th of April something's going to happen, people started panicking, thinking, oh, their workspaces are going to be locked out. The truth is, on April the 8th, the only difference is that if you've got more than 10 and you're on a free workspace, you won't be able to add anyone new. It doesn't mean it's going to start throwing people off of your workspace or freezing your workspace. Also, we've been told that on the 8th of April, they will enable the option for a 30-day premium trial. And I would encourage people to take that up because, for one, it gives you the freedom and flexibility to then really sort your Trello board out, get it into order, and use the admin features in premium to make sure all your collaborators and members are correct. And then by the end of the trial, you may realize that there's so much more benefit from premium compared to free that you might stick with it. But yeah, I'd encourage people to take that on. And if you time it right and enable the premium as late as possible in May, you basically have until mid-June before you have to do anything about changing your workspace. So you've got plenty of time.
And I think something you said in there, I can't remember exactly what, sorry, Mike, but something you said triggered me. Do you remember when when Trello had an outage? And I want to say it's like a year and a half ago. And the online community
every week now.
Well, yeah. But the first major one, and 1 million Trello users got this message: go to community.atlassian.com for free support. And it was a field day for community champions. Oh, that's an old term. What are they called? Oh, just ACE. No, that's an ACE.
Community leaders. Yeah.
Thank you, Brittany.
Yeah.
So the community leaders on online had a field day with all their kudos points and their scoring points because hundreds of thousands of Trello users were sent to online community, and it was just copy paste. Here's status page. There's an outage. You have to wait. Here's how you can find info. And there was just thousands upon thousands. And what you said in there, Mike, triggered me to think about that moment, because I love to understand I don't have to know it in depth, but I like to understand what system I'm on. And I think that too many people in the world, and this is not just Trello users and not just Atlassian users, don't understand the systems that they're using and what it means and stuff like that. And so I think, to your point, Mike, learn the system you're on. You've got time to still work it out. There are people with so much knowledge in the community or Atlassian support themselves to help educate and help people gain the knowledge that they need. I can imagine that sitting with the 5 of us, a guest might be like, what the hell are they talking about? I use this for work. It's always been there. I have no idea what a collaborator is. What the hell is Confluence? What's external share? Right? And we're just talking as if it's like, we know everything. We know what we're talking about. And so it's like, learn your systems a bit more. Like, gain some good knowledge and ask the right people for assistance in doing that.
And I really think the Trello audience is probably a little bit different to like the Jira audience or the ones who use the core Atlassian products. Certainly the people that I work with generally use Trello are in like semi-tech, but quite a lot of the time non-tech environments. So they have a different perception, and that's why they use Trello. They love it because it fits their needs. But when things like this come up, it creates a different response than perhaps you'd get for other solutions. So yeah, definitely Trello's got an audience that then, and as you've seen in the community recently, like the questions are like being thrown up pretty intensely, and they're general themes and repeats of the same thing, which is shock and horror that Trello are going to charge for something, followed by how does it actually work for members and billing?
Yeah.
And what can I do?
Yeah.
Brittany's over here shooting shots over here.
I mean,
Hey, no, I'm just, trying to keep things in the chat here. Jessica's asking,
But if
user friendly.
if this was a real life like street fight, Brittany would be over my shoulder like, "Come on, Jira, come at us," and I'd be like, "What she said, let's go."
Let's go.
she's throwing shade. I love it. It's really good.
I am the Jira guy. I own that title, but can't I love Trello too?
You can,
No.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
can love Jira
Yes.
too, and I do. I think there's definitely situations where it makes sense in, and yeah, I would say it's hard to, it's a little hard to say. I like Sean's point too. I mean, it's difficult to say without really knowing the use case of what all you're using Shopify for, which one would be better or not. I definitely think Trello's more user friendly, but a lot of people would argue Jira scales a lot better. So, I mean, you mentioned scalability and, things like audits.
It's kind of like Jessica keeps raising amazing questions in the chat. So now she just responded to Brittany's point of like, what are you trying to do? Use Zapier for orders. But here you can see Jessica wrote employee tasks, email customer, inflow, outflow, shipping and stuff. And the easy answer is like to be an idiot about it. I'm an idiot. Is to just go, depends which system you like more. Like,
I mean, it's kind of true because either one will work.
Right? Either one will work, and that's also a challenge, and goes back a little bit to my point. And online Andy, who's in the chat there, highlighted it as well. He said, "Fun Man is highlighting the admin versus user dynamic." So, which system do your users prefer? Which one are you already using? Which one do your admins? Rodney pointed it out. I love Jira. I'm the Jira guy. I own the title. Can't I love Trello as well? Absolutely, right? So what's going to work best for you? And I always talk as a consultant to people like Jessica in her situation. Brittany's had it loads in her Trello consulting career as well. Don't adjust your workflows and how you work to match a product, like a Jira or like a Trello. How do you work? Work that out, work out your processes, work out who's involved, and then make the product adjust to you, because it's very easy to do those customizations and to make it work. So at the end of the day, yes, this Trello payment model is going to change, but it shouldn't change how you work. So you need to work out, like, how do we work? How do we want to work? What's our future state? And then, you start worrying about the money, and you start worrying about additional automations or additional products and stuff like that. So to be a bit kinder to Jessica and not waffle on again, yes, Trello will work exactly for what you want.
Yeah, and it does. And quite often, it's not like every single tool can do roughly the same thing if you manipulate it. But it quite often just comes down to personal preference, not even like core functionality. It's just which one people feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
That's a nice segue into something I did about a week ago in terms of comparing Trello's free offering with the main competitors. I'm not comparing functionality whatsoever, just the pricing. And if people wanted to look at an alternative, then they can. But essentially, if they're happy with Trello or they want to stick with Trello, they're kind of not. It's not a bad route to take compared to the competition. So, just looking at a few, obviously not an exhaustive list, but in terms of free, Trello is fairly comparable. Trello and Jira Work Management roughly share the same logic in billing. And then Monday.com, not overly generous. Asana, similar to Trello. Airtable, a few less, but you can have some guests that can do comments and view. And ClickUp was the most generous in terms of the fact there's a unlimited number of free users, but they limit use of functionality, so use of certain fields and that kind of thing. So when you hit that limit, they automatically bump you up to the next package. So there's kind of proof that Trello, even with the change, is still one of the better ones out there.
Yeah.
And I have to ask for a ClickUp before we move on. it's infinite users for now, but how long do we really expect it to stay that way?
That's fair. They're a newer one, and it's clear from their marketing campaigns they are trying let's just get users as many as we can as possible and figure out costs later.
Yeah, and so because ClickUp and Monday.com are the two ones outside of that Atlassian that I've kind of spent most time with, and they're still the route they're taking. They're still really not quite sure which route to take their products down. So they keep changing prices, and Monday's going through from being like a core solution to diversifying into different areas and charging more for them. So and ClickUp's still going down that route of trying to get as many people as possible. But just looking at the cheapest paid options, like so Trello, if you pay monthly, is $6 a month. Allows guest users, and if you have a single board guest, you have full collaboration abilities. So you can within that one board, you can have complete read-write access to it. I think Jira Work Management is similar price, but as far as I can see, it's unlimited external guests, but they don't necessarily have full abilities. They can raise issues and comment, but they can't actually modify everything, as my understanding.
I haven't even seen that. I wish. Okay. I don't even think that they can do that because I got a team who's trying to get off of Monday right now and into Jira Work Management, and my biggest showstopper is that everybody's got to pay to play. So,
and then the rest of them, apart from so ClickUp again is quite cheap, and it allows unlimited external guests. Generally, these mean that they have to have a different domain. And then, Airtable, Asana, and Monday are all a little bit more expensive. Monday, again, guest users, they can't really do much in the system apart from view stuff. Airtable was comments only. Asana is a little bit more expensive and does allow external guests that can collaborate, but they again have to be on a different domain. So I do really put this together just to say that, all those people are saying, "No, we're definitely going to leave Trello." Like, be careful what you wish for, because the alternatives are all comparable, and you have to go through the pain of lifting, of kind of migrating people over, or training people. So you've got to include that cost. So it's worth looking at the others if they fit your business again. But if it's just a case of a reaction to the change, then probably just look again and see that Trello still stacks up pretty well against these.
This is a great graphic, though. I wish I had access to that because
there's an article on the Atlassian community.
Because it really does nicely sum up like the fact that you're gonna pay, but Trello's still a better option.
Mm-hmm. And also not necessarily a better option, but it's pretty close. Yeah.
And that definitely has come from sort of what we've talked about 10 minutes ago. Atlassian left Trello alone for a long time. Like the changes were slow, they weren't massively impactful, so they've managed to keep Trello competitive and try and keep that original model as long as possible, which is good. And actually, to the point of Mike's awesome infographics, colorful tables. Sometimes I do really stupid stuff with paid subscriptions and whatever. If it's on monthly billing, I'll just leave it for a month, and then when all the invoices coming, I'll be like, oh, hold on a minute, what's gone wrong and how am I going to adjust these? And then I start cleaning up the systems. So it's like, it sounds really dumb to do reactive financials like that, but if you suddenly get an invoice you're not expecting, you go, hold on a minute, why is that suddenly double? And you go through everything, you're like, oh, remove that member, change that setting, and then everything goes back to normal. So you don't want to waste money like I do, like an idiot, but sometimes it helps to be like, wait, I don't understand anything about this invoice before it happens. Maybe I understand it after it happens.
I had something similar with the plugins. I enabled, I think, structure.
Yeah.
I got a nice $14 bill. I was like, what the heck? I didn't even use it.
Yeah, that happens.
But I got rid of that quickly. It was like, shame on me only once. Man.
I will say, one thing I do like about Tempo, it still seems very much that I like Slack and I like Trello because I pay per user. So if I have say 15 users on my Slack and some are guests, and then my core team is 9 users on Trello, and we use all the automation and the bells and whistles, and we only pay for like the 15 on Slack and the 9 on Trello. If you're an enterprise, it suddenly goes into enterprise tiered levels and this and that. But the number one complaint in a pre-sales call for a marketplace vendor on Jira and Confluence apps, or Bitbucket apps as well, is only 6 people in our organization of 5,000 are going to use this. Why do I have to pay 5,000 licenses on my? And that to me, Trello still is like a price, purely pricing, has that edge over Jira and not Confluence, because Confluence I would use more as documentation, but direct comparison Jira to Trello. If you've got 500 people, but you only you like only 9 are going to use Trello or whatever, or use a power up in a particular board or workspace, you only pay for that amount, not the whole Jira 500 people. You have to pay for everyone, even if one person uses it. So
yeah, that is one of the most annoying things about Jira.
That's a kick in the nutskis, to be honest with you. Like, sorry to.
The fact that Trello doesn't do that probably annoys Atlassian as well.
Yeah,
I don't think so, because they go all the way to the bank with that one.
Well, they do and they don't. So I thought I discussed this a lot with people in the marketplace, and when I get with partner managers and stuff, and I sometimes wonder if Atlassian changed that model to say, okay, this marketplace app genuinely is only for analysts, and on enterprise level, only 12 analysts, right? If you adjusted the pricing that they could choose the amount of users, but you adjusted your it's like the airlines, right? They introduced this changing rate, right, like 40 years ago or something, and hotels do it very well as well. So a hotel will do dirt cheap rooms, but the F&B is extortion, right? So why put off a customer from a 5 or 50,000 data center license on an app for 12 users? Adjust the pricing that you install it more and you get like am I making sense right now? I feel like I've lost my point.
You're basically saying, so right now you pay a very small per user fee, but you're paying for a crap ton of users. But you could pay for just 6 users, but you're going to pay a lot more for those 6 users.
Because if you look at marketplace, what I love when I discuss with like let's two marketplace partners who hate each other, and they're like, I want to wipe them off the face of the earth, and I'm like, why? They're our competitor. And I'm like, hold on a minute. So I grab marketplace. I'm like, okay, you have 3,000 installs and they have 3,000 installs. I'm like, yeah, what's your point? I'm like, in total in installs, just for Jira alone, there's like what? How many paid? 700,000 instances are paid, or something crazy like that. The last time I checked the numbers, what market are you fighting over? You could each get an extra 50,000 installs, and neither of you still dominates the market, and there's still plenty to fight for. And my point then, actually, Alex, thank you for summarizing what I was trying to say, is that how many more installs would you see on marketplace if a company could say, we really need it, and I'm willing to pay $50 per user instead of $2 per user over 5,000? Like, my guess, maybe I'll start researching this like I like to do with this sort of stuff, but my guess is you'd see a huge, massive increase on marketplace if you could have the per user ability, and obviously tiered pricing. The more users, the cheaper it gets. But
what about companies that take pricing outside? So like Zephyr's a really good one, where Zephyr gives you the ability to buy a testing suite for Jira on the all 500 users, or if you donate a kidney, you could just get your 3 testers, but you're doing it's going to cost you, right? It's going to cost you a lot of more money just for those 3 testers. But that team is now external, right? Now you go sign up on their website outside of Jira.
Yeah.
Any thoughts there?
Again, it comes back to your return on investment and how you want to use that and why you want to use that, and are you willing to invest that amount of money? Because right now, I know so many companies that look at a marketplace app for Jira or Confluence or power-ups for Trello, because we're kind of here about Trello today, and just immediately go, it's too expensive, we can't do it. But what if those 3 people that want to use it out of a company of 1,000 really need it? And that if you invest that money on that per user level, that's instead of $1 per user is $150 per user, but what you get back is so much more, then it's like, what's your long-term return on investment? And way back when I was a senior project manager in various different industries, I never liked it when companies were focused on the project goals and the end result of the project, because projects have like the bell curve. It's like it takes forever to get started up, and then it comes and you have your project end. But I would always talk to the project sponsor or the board that owned the project about benefits, because benefits takes forever to start realizing. And I think it's the same with these system subscription fees and stuff like that. Sure, you'll pay a lot of costs straight away, but what's your long-term return on investment if you have good systems, good efficiency? If you look at total cost of ownership in processes and stuff, I think people look too quickly at black and white. Oh my God, that's going to cost us $150. Sure, but, and this is no longer a joke about Jira Life, right? The amount of companies I know that end up lost in Google Sheets or lost in Excel files because they don't use the systems they're paying for already, because they don't use them properly or reinvest additional. They end up lost in Excel, inefficiency, employees are wasting time, etc., etc. Like, work out how much more efficient you could be if you do it properly.
Yep. I hate to cut you off, Andy, because I could talk about that point for the rest of the evening, but we are coming up
next
time.
week, basically.
Well, Mike wants to show us one quick thing real quick, and then we'll wrap up some final thoughts.
Yeah, it's not. There is some good news coming from Trello, and they have announced, coincidentally, at the same time as the bad news, that a new feature is coming, and it's colors in lists, which is they've kind of implemented it beautifully, and you can see you can also compress and expand the lists. One of the things I like about Collapse.
I'm moving to Trello.
There we go. This is pretty cool, right? Like,
yeah.
Just get me the calendar for free, and I'm sold. I'll be a Trello convert.
Yeah, so this is Trello. This is only going to be available in Trello Standard and Premium, so that's another reason.
Another reason to upgrade.
A good reason to upgrade. One of the things I love about the list collapse is, like, in Trello, the quickest way to like find out how many cards you've got in a list is just by doing that. But if you collapse the list, it tells you how many cards, which is pretty cool.
I love that. I love that. So you can see if you even need to open it.
Yeah, and I just played around with an automation as well, and like with this change, you'll be able to like make automations do things like, if this is set, like a label set, that it will change to this color, and things like that. And there's also already written a power up that's going to come called conditional list color, so it will change the list color to whichever one you choose, depending on the number of cards in the list.
So cool.
And that's going to be launched pretty much when the feature is available, which we believe is going to be sort of early April. There's the automations kicked in and changed that. So it's going to open up loads of little useful possibilities, and it looks beautiful, and they've implemented it in a really nice way. So another reason to look at standard and premium, and some good news amongst the bad news.
All right. So we're a little bit over time, but I think I want to get a final thought from Mike, Brittany, and Andy. Mike, you go first.
So my final thoughts are that this isn't as bad as it seems, and although people are shocked, because when you've been on for a good thing for several years, like, any change is going to be hard to cope with. But also the way that Atlassian are doing it, the level of support from the Atlassian team, they're answering a lot of questions. They've also done it in a very phased manner, so there's time to help you get your setup right and to roll this out. So yeah, I think all of Brittany's messages is don't panic, because this is not too tragic, and you can manage your workspaces to be really cost effective and efficient. And there's people there to help you. So the community is really active in helping at the moment. We've got a little gang of people sort of answering questions. And the guys at Atlassian are really putting some effort into to make sure that those are covered as well. So there's going to be more content around this. And I think Atlassian updated the FAQs recently. So yeah, my final thoughts are, although it's not very nice, it's not as bad as it seems.
All right, Brittany?
Yeah, basically what Mike said, don't panic. I've got plans to help create some more content to kind of help folks migrate through this. The only reason I haven't made it yet is because this timeline is very far out, but still coming. So along that note, make sure you're following Mike and me on LinkedIn, because we've been sharing stuff. Mike, honestly, more so than me at this point, sharing some really cool stuff to help you kind of think through this change, figure out where you can find these collaborators, what kind of things you can change and, be aware of. And, to his point about changing different products, are you going to compare them? He's done the comparison for you. So yeah, make sure to follow us, because as we learn things and tips and tricks and stuff, we're happy to share and help folks along and answer questions.
All right, Andy.
Educate yourself, understand your systems, understand your business, work out what you need to be successful, work out how much it's going to cost you, think about these investments. Follow Mike, follow Brittany. Brittany has her YouTube channel, her Trello, she has her Substack, and be wise, be street smart about what's going on. We saw one person in this chat today asking a bucket load of questions. That person now has answers. So
that's why we tell people to come to the Jira Life.
Exactly.
Questions
right?
to the experts, but nobody ever takes us up on that offer.
Exactly. So
thank you, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica says thank you, guys. Like, you're most welcome, Jessica.
Jessica, I hope you're going to Teams 24. We would love to meet you if you're there.
Oh yeah, that would be good. And the educating is not just yourself, your business, your systems, how much it's going to cost you. Work out how to get like free support and stuff, right? There's online community, there's community leaders all over the world, there's loads of knowledge online. Don't just sit there looking at your settings going, I don't understand what any of this means. Screenshot it, blank out whatever you need to disclose, put it on online community and go, I need help, people, please. And people will help you.
Hashtag Atlassian Creator 2.
100%. Yep. Good shout out. Nice one, Rodney. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Mike, for being
having
on
us
today.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Thanks.
Always a pleasure.
We here at the Jira Life, we are making a extra strong effort to now stick to this time slot. So if we've been wondering a bit here lately, but we're going to try and stick to this time slot for episodes in the future. So be sure to tune in next week, ask questions, add comments, have fun, by all means, and we'll see you guys next week.
And
up next week, the death of data center.
Oh no, wait, that was your server. Andy, we'll see you in a month.
See you in a month.
See you, man.
In Vegas. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Jira Life. Our hosts are Alex, Dr. Jira Ortiz, and Rodney, the Jira Guy, Nissen. You can find Alex on YouTube at 8Tech Tutorials, and Rodney's blog is found over at thejiraguy.com. Our producers are Robert King Bob Wen and Lina Ortiz. You can catch us live as we record this podcast every Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at The Jira Life. Be sure to join us and our other Jira amigos of the Peanut Gallery every week to ask your questions, let us know your comments, and just tell us what you're up to. But if you can't join us live, you can still catch the replay over on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell while you're watching. We're also available as a podcast over on Apple iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen to it and think it deserves a rating, we would very much appreciate it, as it will help others discover the Jira Life. Because we didn't choose the Jira Life. The Jira Life chose us.